Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Tuesday leadership Zoom. So excited because if you guys were on last week, I told you we're going to start twin week. I'm calling it twin month. Um because you guys, twin, if you don't know who she is like amazing, and this girl, I can't even tell you, like the entire team has not slowed down since she started. I've never seen anything like it in 12 years in network marketing. So I was like, we are going to bring on leadership from that team and see what they're doing, because it is incredible how these amazing women, everything they do. I mean, from locals and getting together and constantly the community they built and the team, and not only that, but just their, like, the fact that their PPAs are always ridiculous. Like, I'm excited because we're gonna pick the brains of quite a few of her leadership, and I'm so stinking excited about it. And then, Twin, I'm gonna ask you to come on and, like, I know I interviewed you this year, but we're gonna ask you to come on and, like, I'm thinking at the end of November. So it's going to be an awesome next 2 months. So you guys are definitely going to want to tune in. And I thought there'd be no better way to start, no better way to start than with this amazing, awesome, beautiful lady that literally is kicking some behind in this business. And I'm so stinking excited to pull her in. Eleni, are you on? Am I saying your name right? Elaine,
It's Eleni.
Eleni. I'm like, is it Eleni or Eleni? Because I want to say both. Eleni, I'm so excited to have you on. Yay! So you've been on these, I know, so you probably know the drill. But I want to start, from the beginning so people can really get to know you, who you are, where you came from, how you got into this industry, if you kind of did anything like this before, and then how you found Lavelle, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Eleni. So I have been thriving now for a little bit over a year. We're approaching a year and a half. So my story actually dates back to May of 2020. So we were right basically at the peak of the pandemic. And I was going through a lot of life changes that I never expected that I would go through. So, right before May, I had just gone through a job transition, and I was a former retail employee. I was in retail management for about 7 years, and I had always kind of just been on top of my stuff. School wasn't the route for me, so I always knew that to prove to my parents in the immigrant family that I grew up in, I knew that the only way to prove to my parents that I was successful, that was that if I worked really hard in whatever field that I worked in. So I worked my way up. I started in retail when I was 18 as a seasonal part-time employee, worked my way all the way up to the top. And then I actually got transferred out to Las Vegas. I'm originally from California. Got transferred out to Las Vegas to be a translator and a talent recruiter for a company out here. And that's how I ended up in Las Vegas. So funny story. Right before the pandemic hit, obviously there was a lot of transitions with retail because people weren't allowed to go into stores. So I switched into a different role, and I think I was in that role for maybe a few weeks before we all found out that everybody was getting laid off. No severance, no nothing, and that was the first time in my life that I think I had a major panic attack. So I was trying to figure out where my next paycheck was going to come from. Unfortunately, because I didn't change over my residency papers or my registration, all that stuff into my new state that I was living in, neither state recognized me. So I couldn't even collect unemployment in either state. So I was literally SOL. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. So I called my mom. And for somebody who was very independent since I was 16, that was a major, I don't know, major, alert to me like, okay, something's happening. You've got to get your life in check because you've never asked for help from your mom since you've left. So like, this is like a wake up call. So I called her and I was like, I need help. I can't pay my bills. I'm going to get evicted. My car's going to get repoed, because I think I was literally down to maybe my last like $600 in my bank account, trying to figure out what bill I was going to pay for first before having to get everything taken away from me. So she helped me a little bit, and she was like, look, you just need to come home. And I was like, I really don't want to come home. Like, I don't know what to do. So I literally found any job that I could. So I actually found a nannying job from a friend out here in Las Vegas. And she was like, no, I think you just really need to come. And she kept being very insistent, like, you need to come home. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'm going to come home. So I went home, and with that last $600, I was kind of like just figuring out what bills to pay. And so I think I was like down to my last 100. And what was crazy was that literally the week that I got home, my mom insisted that all my other siblings came home this week too. So I came home, and a week later, my grandma had a heart attack as soon as everybody got home, and she passed away like a few weeks later. And it was so wild, because it was almost like the universe was like telling us to wait until everybody was in the same household so that we could say our goodbyes. But this really like changed my entire life. And this event has a very significant part in how I found Lavelle. So that was a huge shocker for our family. My family does not talk about emotions, so our grief and how we all dealt with it was very weird. So nobody really talked about it, and I went through a major depression in my life. So once I was going through this stage of my life, obviously we're not allowed to go out. Everyone's kind of like stuck at home. Especially in my family, everybody was not working. So everybody was just like sitting at home being so sad, and it was so weird. And so I kept going on Instagram, and I kept seeing Angela post about how happy she was. And every single day I watched her, and I was like, I just wish that I could have like an ounce of the energy that she has, that she shows up for every single day. So I had tried out a sample from her a while back, maybe a few months prior, and I didn't notice anything of it. I didn't feel good on it. So I was like, oh, that's definitely not for me. But she was so consistent in posting it. And I was like, at this point, I'm willing to try anything, because I was just at my breaking point. I was sleeping 6 to 9 hour days during the day. And I gained so much weight during that first month. And I'm short. So, all that weight that I gained, you could literally see it. You could see that I was unhealthy. You could see that I was sad. I just like didn't have the energy to like be myself or wake up. So I reached out to her, and actually no, Angela reached out to me, and she had noticed like something was off. And at this point I had kind of taken a social media break, so I wasn't really like showing people my life, but somehow she knew, and she messaged me and she said, hey, I feel like something's going on. Like, are you okay? And mind you, Angela and I had never had like a close relationship. What's funny is that we actually met in the hair salon like the year prior, and like I was not even meant to be in that hair salon. It was like, because my hairstylist like messed up my hair, and I was dying for someone to fix it, and that was the closest salon to me, and she ended up being the person in the chair next to me. And at that time she was not part of Lavelle, so we just were Instagram friends, and we would say hi here and there and stuff, and encourage each other from afar. But literally like that event like a year prior like led up to this. And what's just crazy is like she just asked, she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm going through some really like tragic things in my life, and I don't know what to do. And she was like, okay, well, like if you trust me, like I really want to help you out. And she was like, do you trust me? And I was like, yeah. I mean, at that point I was looking for literally anything to fix my life. And she was like, okay, like, do you want to try vitamins? And I was like, what? Like, are you serious? Like, do you really think like vitamins are going to change my life? Like, and I was almost like offended at that point, because I was like, what? Like, I just told you I was depressed. I am broke. I'm sad. Like, you think vitamins are going to change my life? But I was like literally so desperate at this point, and I was like, sure, whatever, and I was down to the last $100 in my bank account. And she was like, okay, well, $100 doesn't cover what you're trying to get, so I'm going to cover the rest of it. And at that point I knew that because she told me she was going to pay for the rest of it, I knew she wasn't in it for herself, and I knew that she actually cared. So I was like, okay, like, I still don't think that vitamins are going to change my life, but we'll go ahead and just do this anyway. So I got my first month, and the first 2 weeks, I was still in that negative mindset. I was like, this stuff does not work. I have taken vitamins before, and no vitamin has changed my life before. I took it wrong. I researched every ingredient in the back. I took the steps out of order because I was like, this doesn't work. I want to see if it works without, whatever. And of course, it didn't work to the effect that I wanted to. But number one thing that I noticed was that I wasn't napping. And for somebody who had been in that routine, sleeping 6 to 9 hours in a depression every single day, to notice that I haven't taken a nap in like 2 weeks, I was like, okay, all right, let me try taking it correctly now. So the third week, I started taking it correctly, and I noticed that my bloating was gone. And I deal with IBS. If you guys don't know what that is, it's a stress-related stomach gut health issue. And so because I was going through all that depression, it was adding to my bloat. It was adding to my stress. So I noticed the change in my bloating. I was happier, and I was taking on house projects. Now, if you guys know me, I would not pick up a dish. I would not clean anything in my life. I'm just not. I hate cleaning. Especially at my parents' house, because you guys know when you go to your parents' house, it's like, why do you even have these things? Why are we even cleaning these things? This thing should have been cleaned like a long time ago, right? So I was like taking on house projects. I was like painting the door. I was offering to clean the bathroom. I was offering to take out the trash, and I knew something was up. So I was approaching my 4th week, and I was almost out of my product. So I messaged her, and I was like, what do we do now? Because I need this stuff, and you just took my last $100, and I don't have a paycheck coming in. So what do we do now? And so she was like, well, you can get your products for free. You can just refer 2 friends, And I was like, how the hell am I going to convince 2 friends to get these vitamins that are supposed to change your life, right? But I was like, hold on. Like, let me try to look at this from a different perspective. Okay. For one, I know that I am happier. I don't know that I'm like the happiest yet. But I'm getting happier. I am starting to like notice changes in my bloat. And for one, I know that a lot of other people could relate to the things that I'm going through, especially when it comes to mental health. Okay, especially during that beginning period, right? So I was like, forget it. I'm just going to try. I'm going to try. And if I fail, whatever, but at least I can say that I tried. So I started posting about it. I started sharing it, and I got my first 2 people. And at that time, she had just hit 40K. So she was posting all these like banners and things, and I was like, oh wow, she just got $40,000. Like, that's pretty awesome. Like, $40,000 sounds pretty nice for somebody who makes $0. So I'm gonna reach out. And she had posted twins million. I think she had just like hit like millionaire, level millionaire. So I asked like Angela, like, is that real? Like, how is she a millionaire? Like, people don't just throw that word around, and people don't know like millionaires, right? So I asked her if it was real, and she was like, yeah, it's real. And I was like, wow, like all of these people are like continuously growing in this company, and I don't know anything about it, but like it's almost kind of like curious. So I didn't even like tell her about or I didn't even ask about the opportunity yet, but I just kept stalking them. I literally went to Twins' page, and I would stalk her at 2 a.m. Like, there's no way that she's a millionaire. And I would just keep going through her page, and I'm like, she goes on all these trips. She has kids. She's young. She's fit. She's hot. Like I want her lifestyle. And Angela's going, and she was on that route to that lifestyle. So I was like, okay, you know what? If I don't join, regardless, the time's going to pass. And I think Twin had posted something, and it was like, regardless, if you make a decision to change your life in 1 year, a year is still going to pass. So are you going to choose to change, or are you going to choose to stay the same? And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to change. So I reached out to Ange, and I joined the opportunity, and she got me on a 3-way with Jackie. And I was so nervous. Now, because I was like going through like my depression and my anxiety, my social anxiety was so heightened. I forgot how to talk to people all of a sudden. I used to recruit. I was a talent recruiter, and I used to talk to random people all the time. I recruited 80 people for a sales team every single winter. And all of a sudden I just didn't know how to talk to people. So on that call, I was so nervous. I didn't like open up really. Jackie was like, oh, you're in Las Vegas. That's pretty cool. Like, we don't have anyone in Las Vegas yet. You could be the first. And I was like, nobody knows me in Las Vegas. I don't talk to anybody in Las Vegas. There's no way that's going to happen. And Ange asked me, like, what is your goal with this business? Like, what do you want to be? And I was like, I have no idea, but you keep talking about this car thing. So like, I think that's a pretty cool rank, right? 12K. I had no idea what that meant. I thought I was getting $12,000. Definitely not $12,000, but I got way more. Okay. So, we got off that call and I went into like VIP and I got my first 2 customers because I knew I wanted to thrive for free. And I struggled a lot with getting the promoters because I didn't know how to talk about the opportunity because I wasn't there yet. Right. So what I did was I literally spent like 14-hour days trying to just talk to anybody. And I just would talk to people for those 14 hours. And at that time, I was literally sleeping on a mattress in my mom's house. I finally got the courage to move back to Las Vegas after, we had, kind of like overcome the grief with my grandma's passing. And I was renting a room out of a friend's house. And that was like, I just remember that room being like the hugest transition of my life because I literally would work from the floor on a little like pop-up table desk, and I would take all my calls there. I would make all my samples on the floor. I was so focused on trying to help people. So I hit my VIP and I got my first check, and that was the belief check for me. Because for somebody who didn't have income coming in, I wasn't collecting unemployment. I just had earned my first $500 check and I was blown away because I was able to do it from my phone. I was able to do it from home. I wasn't sacrificing anything just to help other people. And for that reason alone, I was like, I used to work and slave away 40 hours a week every single week of my life to be able to earn this check that I did from sitting at home in bed just trying to like help people feel good. I was like, that's it. Like, so at that point I just had a vision and I was like, I'm not going to stop. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I'm just going to continue. So I just literally sampled anybody that I could. I was probably getting out like 10 to 11 samples a week. I literally had gotten so many samples out to the point where when I would get USPS to come pick up my mail, they would just leave the bin for me because I had so many there that they were like so annoyed that they had to pick up all these individual samples off the floor. So they left me this bin and I would just stack the samples out there and I just tried to help as many people as I could. What I tell you guys, like I literally spent 14 hours on the floor just trying to find people to help. And yes, Angela said my family didn't support me. They were very not supportive. When I told them that I was going to take the business on, they literally sat me down and had an intervention with me. And they were like, you're getting yourself into something like that. And like my brother had brought up every single article that was against Lavelle. He literally sat me down and was like, this is what it is. Like, you shouldn't do it. And the reason why was because my mom had actually been in a previous MLM. And she was about 15 to 16 years in, and she didn't go anywhere with that company. And it was also a vitamin business. So I was obviously scarred of like vitamins and network marketing and things like that. And it's crazy because my mom's house was like the house where they would hold their locals, where all these like huge uplines would come in, huge sponsors would come in and host meetings. I even went to their like, headquarter trainings. I went to all their trainings and things like that. And I was so scarred because I was like, why do you put so much time and effort into this and you get nothing out of it? And that was so different here with Lavelle because I'm telling you, when I first got my first VIP 800 check, it literally changed my perspective on the business because my mom had never earned something even remotely close to it. And she had been in that for 15 to 16 years. So after that, yeah, I just kept flying. And so we actually went 80K in 4 months. And I was just ignorance on fire. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what kind of team I was trying to grow. I just was trying to help people. I was like, look, like this is a business, a real business opportunity. You're not, risking anything to be in it. And the return on investment is wild. Like there's no way that a company does this. So at the time, I actually when I was growing that fast, I think there was a lot of things that I didn't learn. And so as much as I was so enthusiastic to grow, there was a lot of things that I did not learn during that time because I didn't take the time to. And so when I got to that 80K, I was like, oh, this is a breeze. Like, a new rank every single month, 200K, we're coming. And I had the biggest reality check, like, whoo, sit your butt down. You got some self-reflection to do, and you've got a lot of leadership skills to learn. So it was like around September, like, so basically 1 year from today, that I had hit 80K. And it was, I think, around the time of the car giveaway. So again, I told you I was just ignorance on fire. I was just trying to help anybody that I could. At this point, I was driving, my first car that I had bought myself. It was a Honda Accord. I was getting my, 800 or $300 checks, auto bonus for that car, and I had no problem with it because I was not a materialistic person coming from living on a mattress on someone's floor. $300 for my car payment was luxurious. So during that car giveaway, I just kept working. I didn't even look at the leaderboard. I didn't want to look at it. People would update me, people would post about it, and I was like, it's almost too good to be true. There's no way that this company just gives cars to people. There's no way that that I'm gonna be one of those winners. And I was like, if I say it, I feel like I'm gonna jinx myself. So I didn't want to look at that leaderboard. And so I just kept working. And it was like towards the end of that leaderboard. And they're like, Eleni, you are number one and you've held number one for so long. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know. But something in my head just kept looking for the doubt, kept looking for the reason to tell me like it's not real. So because I was looking for a reason, I just kept finding more reasons to doubt myself in the business. And because I was in that period of growing from 80 to 200, I literally just had, you know, I just kept feeling like I kept seeing signs from the universe. So I flew back to California to meet with Ange and the rest of the team. And it was the night that they, announced all the winners for the car. And fortunately, I was one of those winners. And I was able to get a brand new car paid for by Lavelle. And at that time, I was so in shock. Like everyone was recording like my reaction. And I looked at my reaction and I was like, I was speechless. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I had just won a brand new car. I told my family because I was thinking, like this is the first person I would tell. And the first reaction that I got was, why would you take that car? That is going to be such an expense to you, and you are wasting your money by getting a luxurious car to just pay more for more, like, liability in the future. And I was like, well, okay. like, so much for an accomplishment, right? So I just still couldn't wrap my mind around it. So I took a trip, and I took a solo trip with a friend, and I kind of just like got my mind off of it. And I just kept asking like for signs from the universe. And I was like, is this real? Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, if my family's not proud of me, like, am I supposed to be on this journey? Like, what am I doing? And I kept seeing like angel numbers. And mind you, I was not a very spiritual person. I was very like out of contact with my spiritual side for a very long time. And on that trip, I just remember like being so grateful for everything that I had. We went down to San Diego, and I just like spent a few days on the beach by myself. And I remember like walking home from the beach one day, and I had just passed by this apartment, and the numbers were like 777, and I would just keep seeing angel numbers everywhere, and it was so weird. So got home from that trip, and I was like in my pajamas, and I had got a call from like this random number, and I don't ever pick up random numbers. So I just like dismissed it. And I'm like, oh my God, this person keeps calling me. Like it's like 4 calls already. I'm like, maybe it's important. So I finally picked up, and they're like, hey, your car's getting delivered right now. And I'm like, what? I was like, okay, because Lavelle had reached out to me like a few weeks prior saying like, hey, when your car gets in, make sure you get some videos and get footage for us. And I was like, sure, blah, blah, blah. I'm like thinking like, okay, when that day comes, I'm gonna, be ready and cute, whatever to get, no, I was in pajamas, probably just getting off of the call. And they're like, hey, you need to come get your car right now. And I'm like, all right, well, this is gonna be really awkward because I'm like in pajamas, I look a hot mess, and they're gonna film me getting this car. So I rushed my way over, and I was just like, I like my heart was like, I was having like palpitations, and I looked down at my phone, and I looked at the time, and it was 444. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Why do I keep seeing these numbers everywhere? So I screenshotted it, didn't think anything of it. I got to the house. The guy actually had like left the keys of the car with like a roommate, like at the other house, and he like drove off, didn't say anything, and it was just like, here's your car. And I was like, okay, like I just like can't even wrap my mind around it. He's probably just doing his job, like delivering the car, has no idea, no significance of what this car means. And so I'm like just trying to figure it out. And I was like, you know what, like I just really want to capture this moment. So I had a friend take a picture, and when we took that picture, again, I didn't look at these pictures until later. I was just trying to absorb the moment. We looked back later, and there was like rays coming out of the cloud in this picture. And if you go on my page, you'll actually see it. But I went back later and I looked up the angel number 444, and it basically just says your past loved one is telling you it's okay and you're on your right path. And that very moment when the car got delivered and I got that message and I looked at that picture, I was like, that was a sign from my grandma, because the last words that my grandma ever told me before the last words that she told me before she passed were, you need to take care of your family, you need to make sure. And at that time, I knew even if my family didn't support me, I was going to prove to them that this was a real opportunity, this was a real business, and that I was going to be okay, and that I could do it without being traditional, like my brother's going to school and, getting a degree and doing all those things. So from that point, my why changed in this business. From growing from zero, from being a brand promoter to 80K, my why was to help people. But from 80K on, it was my why is to help people understand that this is something bigger than them, and that we have something so amazing. We have to share it with how many people and how many lives we can touch. So yeah, I think I just had like it was about my team. It was about, teaching others and giving back. So that November, I remember I didn't even touch the car for like a month, by the way, because I had never touched something so luxurious in my life. I was so scared the minute that I got into the car that I was going to like destroy it. I think one time I was at a stoplight and I didn't know like those SUVs have like hydraulics or whatever. So the car like lowered at the stop sign and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to scrape the bottom. So I literally took it home. I didn't drive it for like a month because I still had my other car. So I was like, well, I mean, I have this auto bonus. Like, what am I going to do with it? Because it didn't apply obviously to the car. So I was like, well, I have this auto bonus. Like, what can I do with it? So that December, I was like, you know what? I am going to make a really big decision. I'm going to pass my blessings on, because I am a firm believer that what you put out is what you get. So I was like, who is somebody in my life that I know that I can help, this auto bonus for? So I actually bought my dad a new truck with my auto bonus, and now Lavelle pays for his truck. Now, the day that, this literally happened in a span of like a week. So because during the pandemic, a lot of manufacturers were not manufacturing trucks. So unfortunately, this was the only truck that was available in the area. It was about 3 hours away from our house. That was eligible for the auto bonus. So we called them. I was like, hey, I need this on Christmas Day. Like, I need this car to be ready on Christmas Day. Can we come and see it? So we drove there like 2 days prior. I didn't tell my parents, and we arranged it. And mind you, my brother was the one to he was the one that pulled up all those like files, right? He was like the one to pull up all of those papers to say, like, Lavelle's not a real company, it's a scam, you're scamming people, or whatever. So we actually didn't talk for like those 3 months that I was like growing, and we didn't talk up until the arrangement for this car, because I needed him to drive the truck back to the house. So we didn't speak at all. I didn't tell him I was going to buy the car. I was like, look, I just need your help. Just help me deliver this thing on Christmas Day back to the house. And he was like, okay, what is it? And I was like, it's a car. And he was like, what? Like, where did you just get a car from? And I was like, I'll just tell you later, whatever. So it was Christmas morning. Everybody opened up their presents, and we pranked my dad. We actually gave him a license plate, like an old license plate off of his original car. And it was wild because, like, again, I tell you guys, like, when you ask for a sign from the universe, I feel like I'm a firm believer that you'll always get it. And my dad had actually gotten into a car accident in the week prior in his minivan. And my dad has worked very hard and very tirelessly his entire life. He's a restaurant owner. He's on his feet, 12 hours a day. He's just a very hard worker, and he's never asked for a single thing. And I knew that that was something that he just needed. I knew in my heart that, it was his mom that had passed. She had told me, you need to take care of your family. And I was like, the first person that I need to take care of was my dad. So We drove up with the truck, and I recorded him. I was like, look, we got you a license plate for Christmas. And he was so thankful. He was just so appreciative. That's just the type of person my dad is. He was like, thank you so much. And I was like, I'm just kidding. Like, we need to go outside. We need to put it on your van. And he was like, okay. So we walked outside, and the truck came out, and we we were just like beeping it, being funny. And he just like bursted out in tears. And I have never seen my dad cry in my life. You guys know, like, Asian men, like, they do not cry. And he just like couldn't hold back. And I think, like, in my heart, like, he was just so humble. He was like, why are you doing this? You need to save your money. Growing up with so many like financial issues, and like insecurity with financial things, like he was so taken back. And I was like, come on, like, let's go, for a ride or whatever. He wouldn't touch the car. We got into the car, and I was like, okay, well, let's just drive it down the street. And just driving down, he was like, he finally got the courage to be able to speak up from the broken tears. And he was like, I've wanted a truck for my entire life. And I told myself that I was never going to get it because, we're sitting in so much debt, and, it's so expensive. And I know that I could never put myself and my needs before our family. And so, like, that just completely just reinforced every reason why I knew that he was the first person that I needed to help. And from that day forward, like, he has been 1000% my number one supporter. He always asks me, hey, how's your business? I told somebody about your business today. And, it was just like my one moment that I knew, like, I had finally made him proud. He had always told me, like, you have to go back to school. You need to finish. You need to go and, do it. But it wasn't because that he really wanted me to finish school. He just didn't want to worry. And I think that at that moment, he just stopped worrying, and he knew that he could trust that whatever I was doing, whatever decisions that I was making for my life, he knew that I was going to be okay. And once we got back from that little ride, my brother got out of the car, and he was like, hey sis, like, I'm proud of you. And at that moment, I was like, for this entire 6, 7, 8 months that I was growing, not once did I hear my family ever tell me that they were supportive of what I did, or that they encouraged me in what I did. And from that day forward, my brother was like, he was like, I support you. I don't know that I want to be a part of it, but just know that, like, I support you, and you did a really cool thing for dad today. And so I was like, okay, you know what? It's a stepping stone. It's not going to be perfect, but this is what it is. So yeah, like, it was a really, really transitional part of my business, that winter. And I just felt even more inspired to go and help others. So while I was home, I was like, I'm going to go and reach out to every single 12K earner on my team. And I'm like, I'm going to go fly wherever they are, and we're going to go to the dealerships together, because I want that same reaction that my dad had with all of them. So I went home. I went to another dealership with another of my leaders, and she got herself another brand new Range Rover. Another one of my other 40K leaders, she got herself a new Lexus. And I just felt like, this is real. This is actually real. Like, this is a gift that I could have never given myself had I never taken the chance to be a little bit more open-minded, to say yes to myself, to say yes to other people. So I knew that I had to pass the blessings, because even though in my life, the transition or the blessings might have just been like, I didn't have to get a call from collections. I didn't have to get a call from the credit card company saying that your payment was late. Like, that was a blessing to me, that I had a check coming in. So I knew that I had to help others. I knew that that was like my goal. So moving forward, the beginning of the new year, I just was so inspired. They dropped Operation Winning. I literally continued. I just felt like I had to help more people. And during the Operation Winning, I think we had like 23 to 25 winners on my team of bonuses. And so I was so elated. I was like on this fire. And mind you guys, like, that Operation Winning period, it was hard. It was really hard because I didn't really know what to expect, but it took a lot of determination. It took a lot of focus to really work with every single person on my team, but also to remind myself to not burn myself out. Because the one thing that I learned in this process is that you really have to understand balance, and you really have to understand boundaries. during that time that I grew so fast, it was because I didn't have boundaries. And I would literally work for, like I'm telling you, 14 to 16 hours. And I would answer texts at like 1 a.m. because my team was in a different time zone. And I like wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't use the bathroom because I was like on my phone all the time trying to help people. And at the end of Operation Winning, I was just dead. I like had no energy to give to anyone. Um, and it was so weird because I had gotten that email from Lavelle a week prior to Thrive Palooza. And honestly, I really had no expectations of what Thrive Palooza was going to do. I was like, it's probably just like a conference like any other company. They just award all the people. And when they had reached out and they said, hey, you're actually going on stage to receive an award. Are you ready? Like, send us this and send us that. So I was like, okay, like I don't even know what award I'm getting. I got there, whatever, and they announced that I had gotten, I think, top 3 fastest growth award. Now it wasn't just me. Like from Angie's team, there was like 3 of us. So it was like so incredible, and it was so amazing to see. Like, wow, like we have all been in this business like short of a year, and we all walked stage together to receive this award. And I almost like just couldn't take it. And I was on stage, I was like trying to like absorb it, and I just couldn't absorb it because in my head I was just so burnt out. And I remember that day after Thrive Palooza, we went to celebrate. And at that event, I literally just cried my eyes out because it was just so much bottled up emotion that I hadn't had the opportunity to let myself express yet. And that night I just like cried for like hours actually, up until my flight. And I just couldn't wrap my mind. Like, this is like a real business. This is a real opportunity. This is a real thing. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously been like a lot of like, changes in my businesses too while I've grown. But the number one thing that I knew, because during the Operation Winning period, I think I had challenged myself so hard to reach that 200K rank that what I failed to realize was, I had heard something on a call a long time ago, was that if you don't receive the ranking, or if you don't, get what it is that you think that you want, it's because you're probably not ready. And that was like a huge reality check to me, because I was trying to figure out like, why is this so hard? It was so easy in the beginning. Like, why is this so hard to get 200K? I realized that in that time, I didn't understand what it meant to have boundaries and what it meant to have that balance. And because I had that lack, it was every single reason why I didn't hit 200K. So again, another change in my why in my business, because I realized that, I was so determined to hit a rank because I thought it would determine my status and my own worth, that I failed to realize that even if I hit that 200K, my worth was not going to change because I had a lot of inner work to do. So, after Operation Winning, from like May till now, I have just spent so much time developing myself to really understand, really trying to develop my mindset to understand what a balance looks like, what boundaries look like. Because, as fast as I did grow in the beginning, there was a lot of things that I didn't learn. And the biggest thing was how to work this business and still be able to live my life and be able to do them both simultaneously. So, yeah, that's a little bit about my journey. We're still on our way to 200K. We're still learning, but 200K means something really different to me now. 200K means growth and overcoming obstacles and not succumbing to my challenges. Before, I just thought it was like the status, or like, like you got to be the top, but really, like, this opportunity just means something so much different to me now. And I think that, as long as you remain a student of your business and remain open-minded to what you can learn, there's so much that can come from it. And don't ever close, or don't ever shut the door to an opportunity that you don't know that might be standing behind that door. So, yeah.
Girl, Eleni, you could have told me that I was going to cry 3 times before 10 in the morning. What the heck? Oh my gosh, I cannot be the only one. And people that know me know I don't cry, and I'm over here like, oh my God. So good this is exactly why I do this call. So people, I mean, so many people would have never known your story. And it's so huge and so relatable. And I mean, how did you how did you push through your brother, your parents, everybody not supporting you? Because I would say 90% of people that quit within their first 3 months quit because they aren't getting supported. How did you push through that?
Honestly, it was hard, like I think everybody wishes that they had a strong support system when it comes to a business like this. You start a new hobby, you start anything new, and you just wish that you would have support because you're already stepping outside of your comfort zone. You're already trying something new. For me, I was so solid in that fact that this helped my mental health so much, and that I knew that it was helping other people so much that all of those lives being touched were not or my family's like sayings or whatever negativity that they had were not going to change how many lives that I still needed to help or still needed to touch. And it was just the masses. Like I looked at the numbers, and I looked at it from like a logical perspective, and I was like, look, like emotions can convince somebody, but when you really want to know if something is worth it, or if it works, like you have to look at it from a logical perspective. And here it was, I didn't risk anything to be here. I didn't have to go through an interview process. I didn't have to pay for anything to be here. It wasn't like most businesses. And I gained more than tenfold back from what I was doing. So tell me what doesn't make sense. Tell me what you don't support. Tell me you don't support that I am happy, that I have an income, that I can support myself, I can support others, and I can teach it to other people and do the same. And we're helping change lives at the same time. Like, tell me what you don't support. At that point, I was just like, I have to block out the noise. And so, I had to limit my time. I had to limit my time with them. I moved back to Las Vegas, and I was like, look, I can't deal with this noise. And if that's what you choose to do, that's fine. And what's funny is that, this topic has come up, and this conversation has come up with my family so many times. And, obviously it took the truck for them to realize like, okay, like she's okay. She's actually doing something with her life. But, you know, I had flown back, and we did a family trip like a while back or a few months ago. And some of my family members who didn't know that I was in the business, were asking like, oh, what is that Thrive thing that you do? Like, we saw that you got your dad a truck. Like, tell us, like, is it real? Like, I was like, of course it's real. Like it's a real thing. I do this every day. So they asked about the products. I was signing them up. We were at this family event, and my brother like chewed me out after. He was like, why do you always make this about yourself? Why do you always make this about Thrive? Nobody wants to talk about Thrive all day. And I was like, it's not about Thrive. Get that out of your head. It's not about Thrive. It's about helping somebody feel better, and it's making somebody happy. And if you are selfish enough to think that, you're taking away someone else's happiness, or stopping them from sharing an opportunity for them to be happier, healthier, feel better, like, you're being selfish. And after that moment, he just stopped. He just stopped. He was like, shoot, like, it's me. It's absolutely me. He was I gave him the facts. I was like, look, it helps people not only in a monetary way, it helps people in a health way. It helps people. You see how happy people are. You see how healthy people are. My dad lost like 40 pounds of unhealthy weight during his Thrive experience. He still thrives every single day, and he doesn't come home complaining anymore that his feet hurt, that his back hurts. He used to wear a back brace. He used to complain his feet would hurt. We would buy all these like medical tools for his feet so he could stand on his feet longer in the kitchen at the restaurant, and he doesn't do that. And I was like, look at that. That's your living proof. Like, what are me giving our dad his health back? Like, you're going to complain about that? Like, you really need to take a look in the mirror and look at yourself. And what I realized was he was projecting insecurities that he had, and it was because, we grew up with that financial insecurity. We didn't have, all the tools and things and opportunities that we did. And so finally, like, he was open to the idea, and, he had actually just graduated from engineering school, and he had gotten an engineering, job with the city. And 6 months into it, after we had this conversation, he actually went and got another job. And I asked him, I said, what was the reason why you switched your job? You went to school for 5 years to get this degree, right? That's what you wanted to do. And he was like, well, it wasn't making me happy. And I was like, exactly. So if I can respect your decision to be happy, to make the decisions in your life, to make whatever it is that you do happy, then you need to also respect mine. And if I'm not hurting others and I'm not hurting you, then you need to shut up. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to stick with it. And I think that I have never seen anybody on our team that have had, negative family members and, friends and people around them, that if they stick with this and prove them wrong, those people come around.
Yeah.
Eventually they do come around. And the ones that don't, I mean, you know what? It's not, you have a whole tribe of people here that believe in you, and suddenly those people that their opinions meant so much to you, their opinions are so insignificant now because it's like, who cares? Not when I'm helping all these people. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have a car delivered. Here you go. Like, it probably wasn't even real. But the one thing that I think really stands out, with you too, is the fact that, I mean, you guys always enroll. I mean, you to be on the leaderboard like that, that is not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. So, what do you do to recruit people? Is it all through Instagram, Facebook? Like, how do you do it? What are some tips you can give everybody on here to network? What are you doing to do it?
Yeah, so I mean, like obviously because during the time that we were growing so fast, it was obviously still pandemic, so there wasn't a lot of, places that you could just like openly belly to belly network with. So we did a lot of social media marketing, and it was just consistency, honestly. People can give you all these tips and tricks about, how to grow your social media business. Number one is consistency. You just have to show up, and you have to, be a product of your product. If you're not taking your product, if you're not telling people you're taking your product, like how are people going to believe it? And it's so funny because anytime that I'm not present on social media, I will get a message, hey, are you alive? Are you still thriving? And I'm like, yes to both. So it really does, it does matter. But aside from that, the attraction marketing from social media, just showing up consistently, no matter where you are, consistently sharing it, really utilizing the sample system. One thing that I will always say is that Lavelle loves to give us solutions. So you have to work with what you have. And the fact that, Lavelle came out with a sampling system that makes it so easy for us to literally be able to get your product out there at the touch of a button, utilize it. I was telling you, I was sitting on the floor making those samples every single day. I was, probably making like 10, 11 samples a day just to get them out. But, hold yourself accountable. What I always tell my team is, buy a pack of sample credits at the beginning of the week, get rid of them by the end. You have a duty to help somebody. And if you feel like, you're in a low point, you're not sure like what you're doing in this business, where you are, if you feel lost, it's because you haven't helped somebody recently. So you need to go help someone. And if it's not yourself, go help somebody else. But yeah, sample system for sure, social media, and just the consistency. It's really just consistency.
Yeah, and I think people, that's what they're not doing is being consistent with it. I mean, everything in this business is consistency. Like self-development's consistency, making sure you're posting on Facebook, following up with people is consistency. It's all that word. That one word is what will drive your success. It truly is. So like seriously, such a good tip. Um I like when you think about, I love when you said you listened to a call and, on that call it said, maybe you're not a 200K yet because you're not ready to be a 200K yet, or you're not in that space. Anybody that grows in 4 months to 80K. I mean, I remember when Twin came in, she kind of had a similar thing. You know what I mean? Very similar, where it was, I grew so fast and I didn't know what was going on. It's kind of ignorance on fire at first. You're just changing lives and, you kind of don't know how it's all happening, but it's just happening. And then all of a sudden, I don't care who you are on here. I don't care how fast you took off. It's gonna slow down at some point. It will. And it's at that point that you have choices to make. You can either freak out and let it all fall apart, or you can then figure out, okay, what are things I need to learn to get to that next level, to maintain what I have, to, become a better leader. What are some tips that you have for people that maybe, feel like they're stuck and they, aren't getting to that next place, or maybe they went super fast and now it's like, what's happening? What did you do? What did you start diving into self-development wise? And just in general, what are some things you sat back and said, okay, these are things I need to, learn and do to get to that next place?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we actually hit our highest month of operation winning, obviously, because of all those bonuses that were happening and people were incentivized, right? One thing that I realized in this business, people go crazy for a bonus, and it's really hard to motivate people without an incentive. So these are not the people that I necessarily want on my team, because that doesn't mean longevity. Okay. And that was the one thing that I didn't learn. And, I'm thankful for anybody in my business that wants to run, right? No matter what their reasoning is. But I realized that in order to build a team, you have to really look at long term, and people who want to just stay for short term for money. And if they're only money driven, they're not going to stay. So when I actually get on three-way calls, my job is not to try to convince them or get them excited about a comp plan. Because for me, look, if you're only in this for money, it's only a matter of time where you're just going to be gone. And for somebody who's worked in talent recruiting for a long time, there's a lot of things that I see. There's a lot of signs that I see. And to be real with you guys, like, I dropped rank from like 120 to almost like 30K. And it's, fluctuated a lot in between, and there was a lot of repair. But number one thing I had to remind myself is that my rank doesn't determine my worth. And it doesn't matter where you are in this company. It doesn't matter if you started yesterday, if you've been here for 9 years. Your rank does not determine your worth. It's how you treat people. It's how you treat yourself. It's how you treat other people. It's how you put people in a position to where you are. Because if you're the only person winning, you're not a winner. Okay, you can't, this is not a business you can just do by yourself. So you have to really understand that, your why has to be bigger than you. You cannot be the only person on the vision board. There's got to be other people that bring it with you. And I said it to myself, I actually said, and I think I spoke it into existence before Palooza, I said, I'm not going to walk stage unless I have somebody else walking with me on my team. And I think I spoke it into existence, which is completely okay. But I know that when I walk stage to grab a 200K banner, it's going to be because somebody else on my team came with. But just like, the development in between the times, I had to take a few moments, I had to take a step back for some calls. I was working the business so diligently for like a year or so straight that I didn't take any single breaks. I was on every single Zoom call that you can think of. I was on Cloud Office spending 8 to 9 hours. I was working it full time. And what I just had to realize, I have to understand balance. I have to know when my cup starts feeling low, and I have to pour into that cup, because without pouring into my own cup, I cannot pour into others, and they can see it. And I noticed it because I was starting to feel resentful in my business. I was like, like, I'm getting another call, I'm getting another message, I'm getting asked to do another thing, when it was because it had nothing to do with that other person. It had everything to do with me. I was pouring out of a zero cup. So I really took some time. Podcasts are great, but one thing for me is that I realized that I can listen to a podcast 10 million times, but if I don't apply those things, that podcast means nothing. And that was one thing that I had to learn about the calls that I was on too, because I was like, I'm attending every single Zoom call that's available to me, and why am I not learning? It was because I wasn't applying. And it was because I wasn't applying in any other aspect of my life too. So just really going back to, pouring into your own cup and understanding what it is that you like to do. Thrive is meant to come into your life to be a vehicle to get you to where you want to be, but don't lose yourself in it. And don't let Thrive be the only thing that identifies you, because that was, for one thing, a really long time, is that I felt like that was the only thing that I had to my name, was Thrive. And I had to really reestablish who I was and what I like to do, who I am, with and without Thrive. And really pour into those aspects of my life, and honor those things, and honor that boundary of, hey, I'm like at a really like zero cup today. I need to do some, self-love, self-care, and the minute I can do that, I will get back to. And I just noticed a huge change in my perspective, a huge change in my mindset with how I respond to others. And honestly, if you feel resentful, if you feel stuck, if you feel like any of those negative emotions, it has nothing to do with the business. It has everything to do with you and what you're projecting about.
I've been doing this Zoom for 4 years, and this is the fastest one ever. This hour flew. I like need you for one more hour. What the hell? I'm sitting here like, oh my God, because it was so good. Like, I was so invested in your story. Like, I just wanted you to keep talking. Like, it was so good, every aspect of it. And it just shows me how powerful a story is. Man, like, you just made me want to join all over again. I'm like, where do I sign? Where do I sign? But we have like 4 minutes left. I want you to share anything on your heart that you think everybody needs to hear. Like anything you're thinking of, whether it's a tip or just anything. I don't even care because I don't even know what to ask at this point because I have like 20,000 questions. So I'm going to let you end it the way you want to end it.
Oh, biggest tip. Um, you know, just be open, be a student of everything that you can learn and gain from this business, all the people that you meet. I've heard, your story multiple times and all the connections that you've made and the friends that you've made. Don't just look at this as a business. It's not just a business. It's literally an opportunity for you to meet people that will literally change your life. And it can be in any way. I had to just be open, and that was one thing that I don't think that I was in the beginning. I was just so ignorant that I just wanted to be at the top, that I didn't realize, you have to be a student, you have to always learn, and that's not an easy thing. The number one hardship in this business will always be yourself, and because you're your own critic. And it's because you don't have a boss here, you don't have somebody telling you what to do every single minute that you're on the clock, right? So you have to be that person for yourself, and you have to have discipline. Create a schedule for yourself, a schedule that works for you, and honor that schedule and hold yourself accountable. When you feel like you are exhausted and you feel like you need to pour into your cup again, you need to make sure you honor that boundary and pour into yourself. But yeah, remain open. There's just so much that can come from this. Like I said, my why has changed like a million times, and I know that it forever will. But when you feel like you don't know what you want from this business or what you're doing, you need to really ask yourself, what did you join for in the first place? And again, if you don't feel like you're motivated, it's because you haven't touched somebody's life, you haven't helped somebody. So whether that be yourself or somebody else, you need to go help somebody. I think, yeah, those are my main tips.
It's just so inspiring because I mean every aspect of your story. And as I was listening to it, like especially when you were talking about just in the beginning how everything was kind of lining up the way that it was supposed to line up. It's so crazy because every like 200K that I've talked to has something similar like that. Like I know I did. Like things had to line up exactly the way it was lining up in order to be here. It's so crazy. Like it's just, whether you believe in coincidences or not, I'm telling you guys, like every person on here, if you just have that feeling like I'm supposed to be here, you're supposed to be here. And it's just a matter of time. Just don't give up, stick with it. And no matter what you're facing, I mean, I think there's so many people, Eleni, that are on today that needed to hear your story because they they're facing you know people in their lives that just don't get it, and it makes them question, am I doing the right thing, am I in the right place, and just everything about it. I don't know, it was the perfect interview today. Like I know there's so many people, just talking to people. I was at a retreat this past weekend and just hearing people's stories and whys and things that are holding them back. It's like this was the perfect Zoom. I'm like perfect Zoom, perfect time. I want to thank you so much for sharing, and I'm going to have you on again so I can ask a bunch of other questions because this was the fastest hour ever. But I appreciate you, and I am so excited to see where this journey is going to take you because it's seriously only the beginning. I mean, it's just the beginning. That's the coolest part is you've already been through so much and learned so much, and there's so much more to learn, and there's so much more to accomplish, and there's so many more dreams you're gonna, you know, that are gonna come true in your own life, but you're gonna help other people's dreams come true. And it's just like we're here. Like, I don't know if y'all got the email, Lavelle's 9-year anniversary. Um, you guys, we are 9 years into this. Like, that's still a baby company. There's network marketing companies that are celebrating their 50 years, their 60 years. Like, we are still pioneers and in the beginning of this business. And I mean, I can't even imagine where every single person on this Zoom, if they stick with this and stay consistent, where they're going to be in 5 years, where they're going to be in 10 years. And I'm talking about like generational wealth for your families. Like, that is what's possible with this business. And we know that because we already have people doing that. And that's how we know, just keep going. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't get distracted. Just keep going. And I mean, I think your best tip was it's you. You know what I mean? If you're not where you want to be, you've got to fill your cup. You've got to figure out what you're not doing. You've got to apply. You can get on every Zoom in the world. You can listen to every training there ever was, but if you're not actually applying, that's why you're not going to move forward. And that was like a golden tip. Gold, 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 such gold. I hope you guys took notes today, and are totally inspired as I am. Thank you so much, Eleni. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, guys. And we just got paid, y'all. It's Tuesday again. Like, Tuesdays never get old. So you guys appreciate your paycheck, whether it is $10 or 2,000 or 20,000, whatever your paycheck is this week. Appreciate it because it's more than when you started. And there's someone out there watching you right now that do y'all see gas right now? It's expensive. Somebody needs money for gas. Somebody needs to go to the grocery store and not have to put things back or count it. Like, dude, that was like the biggest thing for me. And it still is to know that I can go to the grocery store and I don't have to worry about what I'm putting in the cart. Like, little things like that are what make the biggest difference. So don't forget your payday post today. People are watching. Stay consistent, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. It's twin month. I'm calling it twin month, um, because I'm going to interview as many people as I can from Twins team. So you guys are going to want to be on. Don't miss this Zoom. And of course, for those that had to work, we will get the recording out as soon as Danny gets it downloaded. So thanks, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, same link. And happy payday. Thanks, guys.